Hey everyone, welcome back to the Tango Simplified learning series. I am joined by Eve today to talk about a really important aspect of dancing at the milonga, and that is that when you're going to dance at the milonga, it's good to know what are the things that actually mark you as a beginner. Like, what are the things that in your dance you want to look out for? Because if you don't correct those things to people on the outside watching you, they might think you are a beginner. So there are certain things for both leaders and followers, and we're going to go through a few of those. I'm sure there's other things that I'm not thinking of at the moment. So if you actually think of other things that you recognize as a marker of a beginner dancer, then pop those into the comments below, or you can message me on social at IamSoTango. That's IMSO Tango. Okay, so we're going to start with one that's very specific for followers, and that is to walk with feet slightly pigeon-toed. So especially when taking forward steps, it's going to be very painful for Eve to do this incorrectly. So bear with her terrible technique. But if you kind of walk forward and you have your feet turned in like this on your forward steps, the other place that it happens is in molinete. For example, if we take, let's say we're taking a forward step and then a side. Right here, if we allow the feet to turn in, or her landing foot lands in a turned in position like this, this also comes across as very beginner level. The other way that you can come across as a beginner, specifically in your follower technique, is if you walk on your toes. So you're wearing heels. And I'm going to again ask Eve to do this improper technique, so it looks a little bit like this, where you're never actually putting your heel down to the ground, and it locks your knees and kind of creates a bit more feeling of all the energy being up top, on top of the body, rather than grounded, makes you a little bit less balanced. Now I'm going to switch to talking about some leader things that will mark you as a beginner. And I'm going to start with one that's kind of difficult to get rid of. And it's because it's something you learn in class. When we learn this pattern of side step, secret weight change, and then back ocho and back ocho for the follower, and then there's an exit into some kind of cross or something. But this impulse to, in the line of dance, as you're walking in the line of dance, to stop progressing in the line of dance and start going side to side to enter into cross system. This kind of pattern, if you were to do it, it typically comes across as a beginner pattern. Why? Because you're progressing along the line of dance. So when you begin to really think like an advanced dancer, you let go of anything that's going to hold up the line of dance. So you learn to actually enter the cross system from walking instead of going side to side first. And I have a video on that, so if you want to check out the technique for how to do that, switch into cross system and walking, you can check out that video. Now the other one is going to be more about the kind of repetition that you do in your dance. So there are certain figures that leaders learn at the very beginning in class. And so if you learn something like the sandwich, which is this kind of figure here, it might be okay to do it once, but if you were to do it again a few moments later, it might be still okay. But then if you were to do it again a few moments later, it becomes very redundant and it comes across as beginner because the sandwich is very much of a flashy move. It's sort of the icing on the cake. So we as dancers need to learn how to use them strategically. Like I'll typically lead a sandwich maybe once or twice in one song, and I'll typically keep track of it and make sure that I don't do too many, because I just feel like they can feel so repetitive to the follower. The other one that we end up repeating a lot is the box step. So going back with the right for the leader, side, forward, forward, side, together. This is the 6-count basic. We can also link it to the 8-count basic where it has the cross. And the box step, a lot of times we learn for the milonga as well as the beginning sequence. When we have it in our pocket as a tool for entering different figures, that's fine. But what happens with some dancers is you get into a habit of just using it as your basic. So instead of the basic being the walk, like you're taking the embrace with the follower and you're starting to walk. But instead of walking, you start doing the box, and then you finish the box, and then you just do it again, and then you start it again, and then you finish the box, and then you do it again. If you do that, you will drive your partner crazy. I guarantee you, because I've been there on that receiving end. It feels very repetitive and it comes across as very beginner. Okay, now I just got one more for you, specifically for leaders once again. And that is the open side of the embrace, especially if you're coming in from another dance form like blues, fusion, swing. You might have a different sense of this open side, and you might have a tendency to be more here, okay? So this kind of collapsed feeling, or you're sort of using the arm to get the follower to do something. So if I'm moving in this way, so this would be an example of kind of a collapsed embrace where things are a bit more kind of boxed in. And so anything that I do with my partner, it's sort of collapsed inside the embrace. So you see the open side of the embrace is very in. Or the opposite extreme can be that as we're moving together, that there's this feeling like you're trying to move your partner, relying on this as a way of communicating where they want to go. So the way it comes off for somebody watching is the arm moving a lot. So this point extending, and then the arm moving in relation to the body. So if you see that in a dancer, that a lot of times translates like, okay, this is a beginner dancer. So that's my list for today, but I'm sure it's not a complete list. So if you think of something and you want to contribute, would love to see those comments below. If this is your first time to my channel and you've made it this far, then I invite you to subscribe because I post one of these every Saturday. And I hope I see you at the next one. Ciao.